David Harris, Cochise from the cult classic film The Warriors, and you are listening to the Movie Ray Show.
It's time for the Movie Raid, and tonight's victim is actor David Harris, that is Cochise from The Warriors, also played in Quicksilver, amongst others. Hello.
Hi there.
What have we been up to?
A little bit of this, a little bit of that, just life of an actor.
Life of an actor. And where has life of an actor taken you?
It's been good to me. I've traveled the world. I've been all over the USA and met some amazing, wonderful people. So, it's been good. Good ride.
Now, you've been doing a couple conventions here now, at least of this year. Are you doing a lot more, or are you kind of pacing yourself?
Well, we pace ourselves. We're in such demand with the conventions, so it's been a lot of fun meeting the fans on a one-on-one basis like that. Next year, February of 2019, will be our 40th anniversary of the Warriors. So, of course, that's going to be a big deal around the country and around the world. So we're really looking forward to that, going on tour and meeting fans from the USA, around the country, and around the world, wherever we go.
Are you doing any other projects in between, or are you basically focused on this for now?
Oh, I've just got finished doing a show called The Deuce, which is based on 42nd Street, Manhattan, back in the day, back in the 70s. So I'm worked on that show, and I'm still doing guest shots all over the place.
You go strictly to just television now, or you pretty much just bounce anywhere that suits your needs or interest?
Well, I kind of take whatever job that I feel most comfortable with in a project that I feel I can lend to with the character that they want me to play. So basically, I'm not doing a lot of theater anymore. Basically, I've been doing a lot of television and film. But it's been a lot of television lately as opposed to film.
Now, since your time in the Warriors, has getting jobs acting-wise, has it actually become a little bit more smoother for you, or is it pretty much the same treatment as anybody else that wants to get a job, an acting job?
No, I'm a veteran actor. I'm not out of the gate. I've been around the block a couple of times. So, most of the people in California and New York, they know me. They know my work. My work speaks for itself. People call and ask my agents and managers, this is David available to do this? We have a job we'd like for him to do. Is he available? So it's like that for me. So, pay my dues, as we call it in the world.
Yeah, oftentimes, since there's any debut of a film or so, usually a lot of actors tend to just stick to television and just basically bounce off of that for a while, and then sometimes they'll do something outside of it, and then sometimes you just don't hear back from them at all.
That's true. It depends on how the penguin swings.
Most films, a lot of people either interpret it or films actually want to send a message to an extent. Since the Warriors had quite a powerful message when Cyrus gives his speech, do you think that can be applied even in real life, even today?
No, I don't think that. That's Hollywood. I don't think that you'll have one gang kind of running the whole works. No, I think that that's just Hollywood. But I don't see that. Plus, gangs are not what they were back in the 60s and 70s, and a lot of the gangs in the film were kind of imagination gangs. You really didn't have anybody running around just like the Baseball Furies or the Turnbull ACs or the Hi-Hats or some of these gangs that you saw in the film. They were not running around New York City dressed like that. It was Walter's vision, and it was an amazing vision that he had to make these games look like that, to hold the interest of the audience and the visual effects of it.
Yeah, it's truly a fantastic film itself, and I'm not going to get all fanboy on it because I think it's I think it's an important film too, because if you were to look at this film and compare it to daily type of activities or events, you kind of could take a little piece of it, like what Cyrus says in the speech. I'm talking about the speech itself, not the actions of what he was trying to do, but the speech itself is pretty inspiring.
Yeah, it is. I agree with that. Yeah, it is. If something like that could indeed be pulled off or come together, he had a very important message. Do you know what I mean? In that speech. So yeah, there's a lot of truth to it in a lot of ways.
I think if they would apply at least some of that even into the film, it could do well without all the slapping all the marketing and all this, just to make a package out of it. I mean, if they just go straight to the, ear to the ground source, it could do very well.
Yeah, you have a point there.
Now, how has success changed your perspective on acting itself since the debut of this? I mean, I know you've been in quite a few other projects, but I mean, this one apparently, everyone has certainly talked about. But how has acting, in terms of success, changed your perspective of you?
Not really. I keep myself well grounded. I go on to the next project. I try to be the best possible actor that I can. I try to give my best work in every project that I do. It hasn't changed. I'm still a guy that rides the subways in New York City and walks around and ride my bike, and I'm just me. You know what I mean? It hasn't changed me whatsoever since I got out of acting school. The Warriors was my first big major film. To me, it was the film that I had the most fun working on. I met the guys. We have become very, very good friends over all these years. Believe it or not, the film will be 40 years old February of 2019. So, I mean, it's been some time under the rug there with this movie, but it has not lost anything. And the guys, we're very, very close friends, and our little warrior, Deborah Von Volkenberg, we've become family. And I haven't changed. I mean, one bit. I'm the same guy, I believe, and my friends tell me, and most of all my family, that I've been since I started acting 40 years ago.
That's just crazy, because you look back between then and you look at now, and I would imagine you almost kind of laugh out, what's going on with how the technology and everything with film now is kind of a little bit more easier, a little bit more smoother here and there. You're like, oh wow, you have no idea what I went through.
Well, the making movies is totally different now. It's so much digital and all this sort of stuff now. When we shot The Warriors, film was still being shot on film, and now it's so much digital stuff and the rest of it. And the technology, it's advanced, and movies look great. I mean, you can do so much with computers and add and take out, embellish and all that. Back when we had The Warriors, we couldn't do all that. I'm all for technology and the way they make movies now, but I kind of still like the old way.
Like 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, and so forth. You get that kind of in the moment kind of rawness to it. I mean that in a good way. I mean, you feel the moment. You're basically right there in the moment. You look at these like newer films. Okay, it's all action packed. It's fast paced. It's this and that. Yes, it's got good graphics here and there. But it almost seems like the feeling is not there as much anymore. You can't really focus on the actors themselves.
No, it's because it's so computerized and so technology to the film. You get caught up in watching special effects and all this sort of stuff so much, and acting seems to be secondary. It's all this other stuff that's working in film now. When we shot The Warriors, you got caught up into the film. You got caught up into the actors. You got caught up to what they were doing and what they were saying. All those films back from, before they started making talkie, silent film. You were watching what the actors were doing, and wonderful directors and wonderful cinematographers. And then we got the talkies, and then you paid even more attention because now you can hear your actors speak. All those great films that came out of the 40s and 50s, film noir, all that black and white great stuff, all those great movies from the 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s. My favorite period was the 70s. I loved all the stuff that came out of the 70s, like Easy Rider and Clockwork Orange, and some of the stuff that was made by these amazing directors, and the acting was just so superb. And that was my time. I loved the 70s, and I loved a lot of stuff that came out of the 40s. You know what I mean? The Bogart era, all these wonderful, wonderful actors, the Brando era, all these great films On the Waterfront, The Godfather, all these incredible, incredible movies.
Oh, definitely. I mean, like, appreciation seems like it kind of dissipated since then. I mean, you see, all the directors like Clockwork Orange and like you just mentioned, these guys are started their career, and we know now, since the last 20 years, 30 years, whatever, and so forth. But the appreciation seems like it's kind of depleted because it's like I said, it's all action based. It's this, and slap it on a marquee, a poster here and there. But I'm like, where's that real in the moment anymore?
No, it's not. It's just it's kind of sad in a way because I think movies have become so technical now and so computerized, and what you can do with computers and what you can do on film now. And, I mean, anyone with a cell phone can go out and make a movie now. You know what I mean? You know,
Yeah.
digital camera, go out and make a movie. You know, but it's technical. It's not the way it was back in the day.
No, that's what I always love the older films, man. I mean, just like the Warriors, I love the fact that it's in the time period, not like fabricated of the time period. It seems like, you know, the actors were out trying to act the part. I mean, you just felt and you can look that they're trying. I mean, I just think it's fantastic with these older films. I mean, kind of take notes from the directorial notes from then and still apply it today, even though we still have all this nice, good stuff with it. I mean, I'm not saying you're not going to make a bad movie with it.
No, and I agree. That's why I like Quentin Tarantino, because he has a feel for making films that look like it came out of the 70s and 80s. Do you know what I mean? I feel that's my opinion of Quentin's work. Do you know what I mean? And a few other directors that make their films look like that, you know, and it's not so digital and computerized and, you know, all that sort of stuff. Special effects and all that.
Well, I'm all about practical effects, and you know, I believe it or not, I believe I prefer a guy in a rubber suit in a puppet rather than to see something that looks like just popped out of a cartoon where everything else is all frozen in the background.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. I understand what you're saying.
It's like, all right, I'm going to go back to watching this. It's like, well, you're going to watch that? It's like, yeah, I'm going to watch that. But, I mean, it's about the quality and the commitment. And do you think commitment has depleted as well? Or do you think it's just a whole new reformation and no one knows what to do anymore?
Yeah, unfortunately, the movies has become now about money. You know, it's all, you know, I'm not saying that has not been about money before, but right now it's basically a lot about money. You've got a lot of lawyers running studios and all this sort of stuff that people never see, and it's about, well, you know, the money. You know, we got to get what we want for our money, and it costs so much money now to make a film, unless you're making, you know, student films and very low budget films. And even with a very low budget film, you have to be very careful, because the dollar can only go but so far. It's these movies that they make for, you know, $100 million plus. I mean, the people that are in charge of the studios are worried about their money, you know?
Yeah.
And I understand that, because it's a big investment.
It is.
No one wants to lose. No one wants to put $200, $300, $400 into making a film, and the thing makes $27 million at the box office. You know, no one wants that, you know.
Yeah, they got to make the money back somehow, and I totally understand on that side and stuff of it. And when you just basically code the entire film like this, you know, you got to think about the audience, man. The audience they're the ones that are going to watch this. They're the ones that either they're going to like it, they're going to hate it, they might get inspired by it. You know, you never know in general about this, but I think all companies really has to consider what the audience, and not exactly like on their opinion, but the reaction.
Right. Well, I think right now with, you know, all the films, all the big budget films, I mean, these directors and their producers are all looking at like, well, okay, what does the audience want right now? Do they want a remake of the Bruce Willis film? It's now with The Rock is called Skyscraper. I mean, you know, all these remakes of stuff, and, you know, very, very highly digitalized and animated, and, you know, all this sort of stuff, special effects, great special effects. I'm not taking anything away from that. I mean, the stuff looks great. You know, back in the day when they made movies, I mean, how many special effects did you see in The Warriors? You know what I mean? I mean, you know, it was a budget, I believe, of something like $8 million. That was considered a lot of money back in the 70s to make a film like that, like The Warriors. And now, I mean, if you would try to make The Warriors today, and I hope they don't, it would cost $80 million more, whatever, I don't know. I mean, dealing with the city and trying to reproduce that.
Yeah, it'll basically be guest rappers playing as the Warriors and guns and all Monterey and sex scenes here and there. It's just, I really don't want to get into
that. Would be terrible. To me, my opinion, I mean, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. I mean, to me, certain films, they're classic films, and you should be left alone, like The Godfather. How do you remake The Godfather?
Yeah. It's like, don't you even dare touch Back to the Future either. Don't ever touch that.
Make The Warriors. You know, you can't, certain things leave alone. You know, leave alone. And Hollywood makes a lot of remakes of stuff, And, to me, I don't go see a lot of remakes of films because I just think, especially a classic kind of clown, I don't go see.
Yeah, there's a very few, for me, in my opinion, there's a few actual decent remakes that I was like, okay, that's pretty good, Like, I absolutely love John Carpenter's The Thing, which is it's kind of a remake adaptation. I love it.
That's one of them. That's one of the films that, John did a great job with that, and it was very appealing to the audience, and it was a hit. And it was a terrific, terrific movie. I saw it 3 times.
Yeah.
I saw the original one with James Arness, who played the Thing back in the 50s, when the 50s were cranking out all these monster movies and all that sort of sci-fi movies. I thought that was a classic film, the Thing, the original one. But then John Carpenter did a great job with his remake. But I think he's an exception to the rule.
Yes. The creatures were scary. They're nasty looking, and it just looks very scary. Even the actors, there's some familiar faces, but they're not, at that time period, they weren't that well known. And that's what I loved about that. It's like, these guys weren't just something, this came from, a well-known franchise or whatever, and it's in like half a dozen other films. And to me, that's what really captures that moment. It's like, you don't know who these guys are, and you don't know how they're going to take their characters in this film. You've never seen this film, and I love it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Good point.
And do you think with companies now, do you think even auditioning for a role is a little bit more selective rather than just auditioning for a role in hopes that you get the role? Because I don't know, they gotta save that almighty buck, but sometimes they just simply cast whoever and then just throw them in the film, and then sometimes it doesn't work out.
That happens, and a lot of times, producers, they want to, if it's this is a big budget film, they want name actors to sell a movie. You're not going to make Mission Impossible without Tom Cruise. It's not going to happen. There's certain movies that the studios just want. They got to have name actors. They got to have what they call Class A actors, first tier. A name before the name of the movie. It's got to be starring, whoever. Then you get the title of the movie. That's just dollars. You got to sell your movie. You got to sell it to the audience, and you got to have people at $200 million movie. You got to have Leo DiCaprio in it or somebody. You can't just put some unknown actors. Most studios are not going to trust. Well, we don't have a big name. Oh no. Some actors came from out of nowhere. We're going to give him a role like this in a $200 or $300 million film. Most studio heads are not going to take that kind of a chance. They want someone that's bankable, that's going to bring the audience in.
Yeah, but when it comes to, since you played so many supporting roles and quite a few main roles, how would you actually approach an actual interest to bring that out to the audience, especially when you're playing as a supporting role?
Well, to me, the supporting roles are the best roles. Like the character actors, like Joe Pesci, who doesn't play the lead man, but always plays the backup and the character guy to the lead guy. I'm a character actor and always have been a character actor, and I approach my work from that point of view. I love being a character actor. I love the kind of roles that I get as a character actor. I'm not going to be the star pretty boy. I'm not going to be wonderful actor Denzel Washington. I'll be his sidekick. I'll probably be his sidekick, or the character guy towards his character, and I like that. I enjoy. It's not that I couldn't play a lead role or try and carry a film, but basically that's not been given to me. I play the character guys.
Yeah, and oftentimes, yes, the supporting character, yes, can have some interest to the lead role. Oftentimes, but sometimes the supporting role character doesn't really spark any interest. They're like, oh, okay, it's that guy.
No, absolutely. Sometimes I go to movies and I can't take my eye off the character guy. These roles are juicy, they're wonderful, you know what I mean? And a lot of times it can be more interesting than the lead guys or lead women. You know what I mean? They can be more interesting.
Yes, I totally agree.
So you remember the bad guy, you remember the good crazy guy, you remember the character guy that was the lead guy or the lead girl, that's friend.
Yeah.
Or their nemesis.
There's always that one guy or that one girl that you could totally point out in like half a dozen of these films. Like, hey, there's that one girl that said that one thing, and now she's doing half a dozen other well-known films.
I looked at a film like Silence of the Lamb. I couldn't take my eyes off him. Jodie was wonderful, but I couldn't take my eyes off Anthony. To me, the whole film was about him. I mean, she was, blah, 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 and she was very good in her role, and so many other people, but to me, I couldn't take my eyes off Anthony Hopkins. I mean, I just couldn't.
It's truly amazing when two characters have some kind of a relationship, friends, lovers, whatever, but also have some kind of a bond with the audience themselves. That's what I see a lot of films today, or just kind of not really pushing for that. I mean, sure, you got this pizzazz. You gotta have your audience on your side too at some point.
Of course. If the audience falls asleep or just gets bored, then the film didn't do its job, or something's not right. If you can't hold the audience, something's not right.
Go ahead and plug in anything that you would like to promote, any convention, websites, any dates, or any projects that's coming out, or anything like that.
Yeah, people can go to my website. It's called theofficialdavidharris.com, and you can find out what I'm doing, what's coming out, all of that sort of stuff.
There you have it. That is actor David Harris.
Warriors come out and play.